Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular council meeting of August 11th, 2026. I call the meeting to order at 5:30, and I would like to ask the deputy clerk for the roll call, please.
Mayor Sidney.
Present.
Reeve Emo.
Present.
Councillor Legree.
Present.
Councillor McWhirter.
Present.
Councillor McDonald.
Present.
Councillor Sobalski. Councillor Andrew Dick.
Present.
Chair, we do have quorum.
Thank you very much. As we gather, we would like to acknowledge on behalf of council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all of the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Can I please have you stand for O Canada? Any declaration of interest? Hearing and seeing none. On to C, there's no public meeting, delegation, presentation. Announcements, I have a couple of announcements to share. Save the date for the Renfrew Popular Craft Beer and Food Truck Festival, presented by Zor Family Funeral Home, is returning to Low Square in downtown Renfrew on Saturday, October 3rd. We're looking forward to another fantastic event featuring an incredible lineup of food trucks, craft beer, and beverage vendors. I encourage everyone to mark their calendars and stay tuned for more details as we get closer to the event. The County of Renfrew has informed the town that a culvert replacement project will begin on Monday, August 17th on Raglan Street South, just down the hill from the subway. As a result, a section of Raglan Street South will be closed for approximately 2 weeks while the work is completed. We understand that the road closure can cause some inconvenience, and we appreciate everyone's patience. While this important infrastructure work takes place, the town will continue to share updates with residents as we receive additional information from the County of Renfrew. A detour map can be found on our website and social media. Also, a reminder for residents that the regular road closure construction updates for all current road projects in the town of Renfrew can be found on renfrew.ca under our construction updates page. And it is absolutely hard to believe that summer's almost over. And just to quickly, many of our summer students will be finishing up with their roles with us over the next few days and weeks. I want to take a moment to thank all of our summer students for their hard work and dedication throughout the summer. Your contributions have helped keep our town running smoothly during what is always a very busy time of the year, and your efforts have certainly not gone unnoticed. On behalf of council and the town of Renfrew, thank you for everything you've done this summer. We wish you all the best as you head back to college or university and taking the next step towards your chosen career. Best of luck, and thank you very much. Any other announcements? Councillor Legree.
Through you, Mayor Sidney, I just have a couple of ones here. Just a reminder that Heart of the Market, Renfrew Market, and Music in Low Square is still going on Friday nights. So there's 3 Friday nights left. August 14th will be Break Even. August 21st will be Spencer Scarf, and August 28th will be Neil Kennedy. Also, just a reminder that Freaky Friday, which is in my mind is one of the best events the town has put on in the town, is looking for volunteers. So if you know anybody or if you're interested, please contact the BIA. And there's more information on the BIA's social media. Just 2 more, Mayor. The Chamber of Commerce does a Chamber After Hours event once a month, and for August it was held at Embers, located 175 Raglan Street. I want to thank Embers for treating us with some great hospitality and amazing cooked food on their barbecue. I was surprised with the amount of inventory they have in stock. Embers have been in business for 40 years in Perth and opened their second location in Renfrew on the main street a few months ago. I encourage everyone looking for barbecues, fireplaces, or supplies to drop in and give them a visit. They also do installs. And lastly, I just want to congratulate Ben from BM Auto Works on their new location at 28 Raglan Street, the former Mill Music location. BM Audio Works offers transfer of services of videotapes, audio tapes, and 8mm film to digital, along with mobile DJ services for weddings, stags, sporting events, and anywhere else needed. BM Audio Works is open from Monday to Friday from 9 till 5 a.m. Thank you. Not 5 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? No. Moving on to E. The Renfrew Town Council convene in committee of the whole to consider reports for recommendation to council. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Legree. All in favor? We are now in committee of the whole. Moving on to E.1. That the committee of the whole receive the Knights of Columbus Park Working Group update report as information. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Legree. And I will turn it over to Director Lemke.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. This is just a information report, so just looking to give an update. In August 2025, a working group was established to kind of guide the revitalization of Knights of Columbus Park after the Rotary Club of Renfrew had reached out and said that they would like to partner on that. So this is just an update of what's occurred so far and what is yet to come. So far the group has done some brainstorming of potential amenities that could be located in that park space. But we have also set up a survey that will open late August through late September. And there will be a barbecue that Rotary will run. It'll be a free barbecue to encourage community attendance so that we can get as much community input as possible about what amenities and priorities actually exist for the park. And that will be on September 20th. There's been mostly some digging around into what a pump track would look like. But although we need to take that to the community and hear if that is an amenity that they are interested in, and then also the full court basketball, we don't have that in the town, maybe there's interest in that. So there's just some preliminary ideas that the working group put together. But again, it all comes back to what the community determines its priorities are. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Legree?
Through you, Mayor Sidney, just a comment. So I sit along with Councillor McWhirter on the Knights of Columbus Working Group. I just want to say thank you to the Rotary Club for partnering with the town on this project, especially Christine Jarrett, Bruce Rozecki, and Janet Springer, who is part of Rotary but are also sitting on this working group. The Knights of Columbus have done so many great projects over the years in the town, like the splash pad, and they've been committed to funding again to help better our town. The town has been put into a financial crisis because of mismanagement funds over the years, so these partnerships are crucial to get projects like this to the finish line. So I just want to thank them.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you, Council. On to E.2.1, Development Environment. That the Committee of the Whole received the Blue Box Regulation Reg 391/21 concerns regarding non-eligible sources reports as information. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Legree, and I'll turn it over to Manager Springer.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. So this information report has been provided following a notice of motion that staff received following council receiving correspondence from the municipality of Bluewater over concerns about the Blue Box regulation and specifically the exclusion of non-eligible sources, which are primarily commercial entities, from the new Blue Box program. So as we all know, starting on January 1st of 2026, as required by the regulation, the Blue Box recycling system in Ontario fully transferred from municipally managed stewardship model to a producer responsibility model. However, non-eligible sources, primarily are non-residential businesses and community organizations, are not included in that program. The town of Renfrew has been very vocal in terms of our concerns with this model. We have sent letters, we have done delegations, we have encouraged RBIA to do the same. We have provided comments on the environmental registry. We've sent emails. We've participated in working groups. However, ultimately, nothing has changed from the first, nothing significant has changed from the initial regulation, and non-eligible sources are still not included in that model. So council did decide to continue the service for non-eligible sources on our own. And we awarded a contract to Miller Waste for collection of curbside blue box materials for commercial entities, as well as operating a depot at our landfill that is segregated from the circular materials depot for residential. And all in all, that costs us about $106,000 a year. So if we compare what we're looking at costs for recycling now just for commercial versus what we used to spend when it was managed fully by the town and we got Stewardship Ontario funding, that was the last year that we had fully done that was 2022. We have a breakdown here. So basically the net cost in 2022 to provide recycling to both residential and commercial sources was about $56,000. And now to provide just to the non-residential sources, it's about $106,000. So not accounting for inflation or including salaries, the Blue Box Recycling Program is estimated to cost the town of Renfrew about just short of $50,000 more under the producer responsibility model than it did under the stewardship model for a similar level of service when you factor in all properties. Our contract for non-eligible sources with Miller, we did partner with several Renfrew County municipalities on that procurement. And many of them are still evaluating the pros and the cons of the program. Since the time I wrote this report, I have been in contact with a few municipalities. Many of them are going to continue or have decided to work this into their garbage collection tenders. The ones more closer to us that are more significant to the town of Renfrew have not formally made a decision yet, but they are happy with the service they're receiving and leading towards continuing the service. But we will report back kind of in the next month or two to further discuss the next steps as we kind of want to make a decision about 6 months before our contract expires, and it currently is set to expire the end of March of 2027. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. And to the manager, with regard to not including salaries or accounting for inflation, I'm not worried about the inflation part right now, but the salary part, can you elaborate a bit more on that? Is that because we have people at the landfill, or we're just not able to calculate that part? So we have approximately $50,000 we estimate the cost into the 2027, but can you just elaborate on the salary portion?
Sure thing, through you, Mayor. So essentially the amount that the town is paying in salaries has not changed. We have not necessarily hired or fired staff specifically because of recycling, because of the change. So really the salaries kind of equal themselves out. But where it does factor in is the Stewardship Ontario funding that we used to receive, because that did include a rebate for salaries. So that is kind of where a lot of that difference it comes into play. But it is very hard to determine how much of a specific person's time goes to one thing or another. I would say this year, and probably last year too, significant amount of time went into recycling just because of all of the communications that were needed and the tendering and the procurement and all of that. Probably as much, or if not more, time than when we managed it. But going into the future, that should settle out and leave more time primarily for myself to do other things.
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, and just a follow-up directed towards the manager. With regard to the fall meetings that are going to come up with regard to this, do you have a positive outlook with regard to that so far in terms of working with other jurisdictions?
Through you, Mayor. So like I alluded to, the municipalities that I have talked to, they are leaning towards continuing the service. The few sort of further to the north of the county, they've included that in their garbage tenders. So they probably will drop out from the group, but from what I understand, they've awarded to Miller, and their pricing was very similar, if not better, than what we're currently getting. So I do have a positive outlook on the future for continuing this program if council wishes.
Any other questions? Reid Bemo?
Thank you very much for this report. I think we knew there was an issue with this model a long time ago, and the province ignored it. And now we actually have a number, and it would be nice if others were able to provide a number, because the province keeps telling us, oh, you broke even, you broke even. We knew that was not true, told them it wasn't going to be true, repeatedly told them it wasn't going to be true. We told them it's not true. Now we actually have some numbers. So is it possible, Your Worship, for staff to prepare a letter to the Minister and the Premier outlining this and send it to AMO and Roma at the same time? Because I think that hopefully will kickstart AMO and Roma to actually gather some data. I know that in conversation with them, they feel the same way that we've felt for some time. And we're waiting for some numbers. So.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Councillor DeGray.
Through you, Mayor Sidney. Yeah, I totally agree with Reeve Emo. Like, I know we've had delegations with the Reeve and the Mayor. I've sat in on them. Miss Springer has been all over this, but we need to keep the pressure on. This is another $50,000 that we can't afford, so I fully agree. Thanks.
Any questions, comments? Hearing none. Thank you very much. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you, Council. On to E.2, that the Committee of the Whole received the Department of Development and Environment Planning Services coverage update report as information. Mover, please. Councillor McWhorter, second by Councillor McDonald, and I'll turn it over to CBO Webster.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. So this is a information report in regards to the planning services that was brought forward in January of this year in regards to the our existing planner moving up to the position of acting CAO. We entered into an agreement with the County of Renfrew for their planning services, and it is expired come the end of June, I think it was, but they're very easy to get along with. They've been great helping us out in the interim, and this is just extending that agreement.
Any questions? Review?
Not so much a question as an observation. I think you're going to see more and more of this over the next 4 to 5 years as smaller municipalities cannot afford to have a separate planner. And also just the competition for planners. Were I 25 years of age, I would become a planner, because you could stay 3 years with each municipality, go to the next one in Renfrew County and get a $4,000 or $5,000 raise on your grid, and just keep doing that. You have a very profitable career, as well as interesting. But so I really think this is the only way it's going to proceed in the future, given the shortage of planners, and then secondly, just the cost of maintaining a full-time planner.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor McWhorter.
Through you, Mayor. So is it any bit of a conflict at all if the county's doing it during our planning? Because there has been issues where we've had to go to county and they didn't always agree with what we were doing as far as our planning or in the past. Is that going to be a conflict if county's doing our planning?
Maybe CAO Withers can touch on this, but everything starts with us first, and then we go out for the services that we require, what we're asking for, but maybe CAO Withers can expand on that end of it.
CAO?
Thank you for your Mayor Sidney. So the county has approval authority with respect to subdivisions in particular, so they are not able to handle those files. So anything, official plan amendments would be another example. Anything that the county is the approval authority for, they cannot serve as our day-to-day planning services for. So in that event, we would turn to one of the planners available through our standing offer agreements.
Any other questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Councillor. Moving on to E.3. So just, Council, I just wanted to let you know, if you're okay, instead of reading all of this at once, if we break them down, we do A, vote on it, B, vote on it, C, so we can literally talk about those each individual ones and get the reports separate, if the Council's okay with that. So I'll do A first. So A is that the Committee of the Whole recommends that Renfrew Town Council declare the following properties surplus. Roll number 4748000015242207, Centennial Drive vacant lot. Roll number 47480000252286, Mayhew Street vacant lot. And roll number 474800000201. 7500 Froat Street vacant parcel awaiting severance. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Degree, and I will turn it over to Coordinator Collins for this one report.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. So staff have completed the initial due diligence required under Section 6.2A of the Town Sale and Disposition of Surplus Land Policy, attached as Appendix A. This included circulation to internal and external agencies, as well as a legal review. For all the properties being recommended to proceed, no significant issues were identified through that process. So now for those first three properties. The Centennial Drive property is a vacant residential lot with services available within an established residential neighborhood. It is currently zoned residential, and there are no known constraints that would prevent future development. The Mayhew Street property is also vacant and located within an established residential area. The property has potential for future residential development, subject to a severance and the required planning approvals. This property was also previously identified through the Parks and Recreation Master Plan as a property to be considered for surplus and development. The Froat Street property is a larger vacant parcel adjacent to O'Brien Road. The portion proposed to be declared surplus is currently zoned general commercial and could accommodate a range of future commercial uses. A severance will be required, and the future Hall Avenue extension will also be considered as the property moves forward. Staff are seeking these three properties to be deemed surplus to progress into the next stages of the sale and disposition process. Thank you.
Any questions from Council? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to have a couple. We've received an email, and I've also been approached by someone else outside of council with regard to some questions to this topic. And I just want to confirm we're following town policy. That's the first question.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Yes, we are following policy.
Second one is to confirm that there will be public consultation with regard to this.
Through you, Mayor, yes, there will. That comes in Section B of the policy, so when we go out to market, we provide notice to the public.
Thank you. And just a comment, Mayor?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I've been very clear over the last several years that we need to surplus town properties. I think it needs to be methodical, a methodical approach to this process. It can't be a fire sale. The bottom line is I don't believe we should be landlords, and we need to get our financial house in order, so I'm all in favor of this. I just want to confirm, and which we have, that we are following the protocols.
Yep.
And thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? All in favor? That's carried. Moving on to B, that the Committee of the Whole recommends that Renfrew Town Council declare three properties at the intersection of O'Brien Road and Mask Road surplus, save and except for the realigned Howard K. Harmis Park and previous Visitor Information Center lands and their amenities. Roll number 4748000002016750 and 4748000002016814 and 4748000002016810. Mover, please. Councilor McWhorter, second by Councilor Degree, and I'll turn it back over to Coordinator Collins.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor, and sorry for all the roll numbers.
I just don't know why they have to be so long.
Yeah, so the next area is the Maskin O'Brien Road block, attached, you can see on Appendix C. Staff are recommending that these lands be totally declared surplus with the important exception of the realigned Howard K. Haramus Park and its associated amenities. The intent is to protect the park while making the remaining lands available for future development. Any future development would also need to consider the Froat Street extension, the future relocation of the O'Brien Pump Station, integration with the surrounding area, and compatibility with the recreational and tourism uses at the Haramus Park. Thank you.
Any questions? Councilor Andrew Dick.
Thank you, Mayor. Sitting through you. So I'm going to ask my fellow councillors that we do not approve this one. I think this is a very important piece of property that in 10, 20, 30 years, we have no idea what it could do for the town. We already have a beautiful park there with the caboose. We have the information center. We have 2 big parking lots there. It's coming on to the Millennium Trail. And if we look into the future, you know, we don't know what's coming down the road, but we do know someday it's coming, is the 417 will be coming. And we might all be in an old age home by the time this gets developed in this area, but I wouldn't want to sell this important part of Renfrew to a developer to put things in. And then in 20, 30 years, it's developed out there, and I just think of all the great things we do down at Town Hall here at Moe Square, that maybe potentially in 30 years or even 10 years, this could be a beautiful, beautiful place for the citizens of the town of Renfrew to come. The parking's there, the water's there. I just think there's more. I would rather see something more for the town folk than to put in a strip mall or a development, something like that. Those are just my thoughts, everybody, and I open the floor to your comments and thoughts on this.
Councilor McDonald.
Well, thank you, Mayor. And I'm just confirming, we're not proceeding with some of these either. This is just simply the initial stage in having an overview of stuff. There's still the public consultation. This probably won't be at this term council, but am I correct in this, in that we're setting the stage for the next term council to decide what direction? Just elaborate on that, please.
CAO?
Yeah, thank you. So the public notice process consists of a notice. So our policy specifies that we issue notice, I think it's not less than 10 days prior to the committee of the whole meeting that a bylaw is considered at. Now, if a property is sold within the restricted acts period under delegated authority, which this report contemplates and which our delegation of authority bylaw contemplates, essentially the public notice would have to go out 10 days prior to the point at which we effectively sell the property, which for council's purposes through a bylaw with restricted acts, be through the decision of the CAO. I want to be clear, restricted acts decisions with the CAO are going to be made with council's full appraisal of any decision, this or other decisions made during the restricted acts period. I have no interest in making unilateral decisions with restricted acts, for the record. So, you know, except if an emergency happens, we need to do it. You know, be made aware. But generally speaking, when it comes to proposals and things of this nature, council will be fully aware of and be looking certainly for council support prior to making any decisions. That's a bit of a rabbit trail, but I think worth noting. As I mentioned, the public consultation, consists of public notice. So the notice goes out and we receive any concerns or questions when we would consider that feedback in the disposal process. We have to have the property valued. This particular property is currently being appraised, so we're going to have a sense of what it's worth very shortly. It has to be marketed, or an offer has to come forward on this particular piece, or on any piece that's deemed surplus. The offers have to be evaluated, the proposals have to be evaluated on their merits. So this isn't, we're not selling the property or any property tonight. We have no buyers for any of these properties tonight. So those buyers need to be identified if council decides to surplus these properties. I will note that we do have someone that is very interested in this property in particular, just out of an abundance of caution and wanting to maintain confidentiality. Can't disclose exactly the nature of it, but we certainly do have development interest. I don't expect this would sit for very long. The appraisal that is being prepared will identify what market value is for this particular piece of land, and the motion that we have before council later on in this set of resolutions indicates that we don't really want to sell it for anything less than 10%. So, Councillor, to your point about a fire sale, that's not, I don't think what anyone is looking to do. We want to get fair market value. I think what Councillor Dick is saying is he wants to, he's interested in what it could be worth down the road. The other side of that coin that I'll just offer, and then council will make its decision, is that we don't make any tax on land that we own. So the other thing to consider is that the trade-off between waiting until a land potentially, presumably, becomes more valuable in 10, 20 years, and the property tax that you're foregoing in that amount of time, which potentially is quite a bit of money. I'm not the treasurer, I'm not going to pretend to tell you what that money is, but there is for sure a trade-off. So things to consider as you're evaluating this particular matter. Thank you.
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, and I do agree with Councillor Dick that this is a prime piece of real estate, and as compared to the previous motion we just had. Thank you.
Review.
Thank you. So just for clarification, the piece we're talking about is boundaried by the Millennium Trail, by Mask, and by the O'Brien Road. That's the only piece we're talking about at this point in this motion? Or are we talking about that whole block that runs right back to Haltinks and then over to, no, just this block? Okay. I have struggled with this because I don't like the idea of starting on this path right now. My worry is that it's going to take on a life of its own, and council will be well-intentioned to try and get the best deal and get a good deal, but then someone will come in and make an offer, and then there'll be some pressure because they'll be smart enough to put 30 days on it, or 60 days, or 15 days, and then all of a sudden you get in a selling mode. Whereas I think, I like the idea of the public consultation, and I think that consultation would have some kind of a phone boards spread up around the room, so people would come in and say, I like B, C, or I don't like that one at all, and this is what my vision is, and then we can have some input. So I think that takes time, and I'm not sure that can be squeezed in any meaningful fashion before the end of the year, or even definitely before the end of this council, but before the end of the year. So I'd be more inclined to put this one off, because I think it's a very thoughtful consultation that has to take place and a bit of planning. I like the realignment of Froats. I suggested that some time ago, and I'm so glad to see that. And the move of the pump station, I think that makes an immense pile of sense. And I'm not opposed to what I see here. I just don't know if that's the final answer of what I'm looking for. And so, I'd like to see this slow down, and maybe have the consultation, because my worry is that you're going to have some very uninformed opinions on Facebook talking about this being worth $35 million, and how could you get rid of it for X number of dollars, and it would make a great whatever, go-kart track, who knows. So I really think we have to take our time with this piece. It's more valuable, I think, to wait 6 months, 8 months. So I don't think I can support, I'm positive I can't support this.
Councillor Degree.
Through you, Mayor Sidney. So I'm kind of looking at it a little bit different. I don't think the town financially can sit on all these properties, and we have quite a few. There's a bunch coming up here tonight. This is a very, Mr. Cullen said, this is the very first step. Things will be coming back to council and we can look at them. It's not like we're stamping anything tonight and it's been approved and sold. If there's somebody interested in this, then I think that we need to take a look at that and do what's right for the residents. We can't, all this properties we're just cutting grass going around town and it's costing us money. So I'm in favor of this as it sits. So thanks.
Councillor McWhorter.
Through you, Mayor, just my statement. I'm also in favor of this. I see it a different way, perhaps. I see it from a business standpoint. Right now, the taxes in this town are paid generally, majority are paid by residents. I'd like to see more commercial. If this turns into a commercial properties, there's two projects right there. You got commercial tax, and now you got jobs, which are both needed in this town and shouldn't be burdened on the taxpayer. I see this, we've been chasing this idea of selling surplus property for at least 10 years that I know of. We've got to the point when staff have done a great job. We're in a position now to go ahead and move on this. We could sit here and debate this for 10 years and we may have, if we wait 10 years, we may have missed out on a number of key opportunities to go ahead and get some value out of this property rather than just see it sitting there vacant. Again, it comes down to council as the decision whether we sell it or not, depending on the price. As long as we're getting fair market value, I don't see how we can go wrong on this. Especially if we have somebody interested. Again, like I said, if it's a commercial interest, then there's jobs involved there, and the people in town could use jobs. So I'm in favor of the project.
Councillor Andrew Dick.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney. Just to follow up on some of my stuff that I mentioned earlier. So now I'm more concerned that this was brought to us and we had no idea as council that there was a potential buyer for this. That frustrates me because it was brought to us that we want to surplus it for sale, but it's confidential who the buyer is. So my whole demeanor changes if the potential buyer is a hotel and they're going to build a hotel there. My whole demeanor on this changes because Renfrew needs a hotel, right? So it's not fair for me as a councillor to make a decision on something not even knowing there was a buyer until about 5 minutes ago. But is that buyer an AI center? Do they want to put an AI database in there? I have no idea because we're not allowed to know because it's confidential. But yet you want me to make a decision, Mayor Sidney, tonight to surplus this, but I don't even know who the potential buyer is. So that's frustrating. Just to touch on a few key points. Again, this isn't about, cutting grass because there's no grass that's cut out there really. It's about the potential use for the residents of Renfrew. This could be a huge, huge thing down 10, 20 years because we do know in 10, 20 years, this area of the town of Renfrew is going to explode. We know that. It's going to happen. We might not see it in our lifetime, but it's going to happen. And I'm just very concerned about selling this parcel of land. I am 100% in favor of selling a lot of these unused lands. 100%, because you're right. We're not landlords. I respect what CEO Withers said about we're not making any taxes on this. I get that. I just feel right now is not the time to sell it unless it's a hotel. Then it's a totally different conversation. Is that fair, Mayor Sidney?
That is fair, and I do believe the issue is I think there's non-disclosure agreements that are signed.
And that's fair.
And that's the part that I totally hear your frustration because I agree. I agree with you that to make a decision on something that you don't really know a prospective buyer. But do you have anything you want to add?
So if you're okay, if I can continue, sure. And then I'll probably put this to bed on my end. Since there's a potential buyer, maybe, I will approve this because we're going to have the final say, correct, Mayor Sidney?
That's correct.
So, all right. So I'll backtrack a little bit. Let's go ahead and do the due diligence. And then I'm assuming before anything moves forward, it's going to be brought back to council for the person who's interested in selling it. Is that correct?
Yes.
If that's the case, I'm in favor of moving forward with the process.
See you.
Really quickly. Yeah, glad to bring the proposal back to, just because of the magnitude of this, you know, probably good to go into closed. Even though council can't make the decision on it, it falls under restricted acts, probably a good conversation to have so that council understands what the proposal is before making any decisions on it. I just wanted to clarify, just in terms of the motivation for bringing this and the other real estate matters forward, restricted acts is like in 10 days, right? So it's just a matter of getting these things before council. And this was really, Mask O'Brien, we had direction to come back with a report on. So we're come back with a report, forget the buyer. I just mentioned it as a, you know, point. This wouldn't be, you know, potentially is for, you know, not for nothing. It's possibly going to be developed, depending on how council likes it. Thanks.
Councilor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'm going to have a couple questions. With regard to the potential buyer, is there any reason why this couldn't have come into close beforehand, so we had the information? And I'll leave that. I know there's non-disclosure agreements and all that, but in a closed setting, we're privy to that, and we have to abide by it. Is there any reason why that couldn't have come first before we made a decision on this? And then I have a second question after.
See you.
Thank you. I've opened up a can of worms here. I apologize. We don't have an offer yet. We're waiting on the valuation of the property that the folks that are interested in just want to know what it's worth. Yeah, that's where we're at.
Okay.
Councilor McDonald.
Thank you. And second question, with regard to the, and Reeve mentioned this, the whole thing, can we break this diagram, Appendix C, can we break that off and deal with a specific section of that? Or does the entire property there have to be decided on that?
Coordinator Collins.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So essentially, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, any property that is deemed surplus, it does not mean that the town is going to immediately sell that property, and, you know, it's not tomorrow. So with this property, the reason we're looking to have everything surplus is if a developer is looking for 2 or 3 or 4 acres, if we've only surplused a certain chunk, then our hands are tied on negotiation with said developer. So that's the reason for, you know, saving all this parkland. It'll be surplus just to realign it, and then it will be its own parcel, and we'll have the remaining land available to sever for however a developer sees fit.
Councilor LeGray.
Through you, Mayor Sidney. Yeah, I think this is kind of going, and in my opinion, it's kind of going the wrong way. We're talking about selling it tonight, but we're not selling it. This is the first step to see if anybody's interested. Yeah, maybe there is, maybe there isn't. What their offer is. To Councillor McWhirter's point, like we gotta be ready for if somebody comes knocking on our door. We don't have, I disagree, we don't have 10 or 20 years to wait. We need, like, we're in a financial crisis right now, and we need just land just sitting there just doesn't make sense. So this is the very first step. Again, the CAO said that he would, even though we're in lame duck or whatever, I can't remember what we call it now, but he's going to bring it back to us and close and have that conversation before anything happens. So it's not like we're giving the farm away tonight. So this is kind of going down different paths, but I think this is the first step. So
yeah, I'm just going to jump in here too, that agree with a lot of things that were said. Basically what we're doing is we're giving staff permission to proceed looking into things, and just, you know, that's all it is. It's not, I don't think Coordinator Collins is going out with a for sale sign and, you know, putting it on the property and say, you know, lowest bid gets it. We just got to do our homework, and, you know, it's encouraging that we're starting to hear about developers calling and stuff like that. So, you know, I think we're heading in the right direction, and I think, you know, it is a prime piece of real estate. I will totally agree with that one. But I think, you know, if we do go into closed down the road, you know, there's positives in the future. So I just want to add that. And I agree with, you know, let's make some money. Councillor DeGray?
Through you, Mayor Sidney, to Deputy Clerk Wright. Can I have a recorded vote on this, please?
Are you ready for that? Okay. you have something to say? Oh, I thought you put your hand up. Sorry. Any other questions, Councilor McWhorter?
Through you, Mayor. So looking at this design, has it already been surveyed and all that's been put in place already?
Through you, Mayor, no, we haven't got to that stage yet. That's sort of comes in stage B of the sale and disposition policy. So right now, that's just kind of a proposed layout that staff looked at and thought would be a fit, but that's not set in stone.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this one? All right, ask for the recorded vote, please.
Since Councillor Legree asked for the recorded vote, we'll start with you.
In favor.
Councillor McWhorter,
In favor.
Councillor McDonald,
In favor.
Councillor Dick,
In favor.
Reeve Emo,
In favor.
and Mayor Sidney.
In favor. That's
The
carried.
motion is carried.
Thank you very much. My computer's not cooperating. On to number 3C. That the Committee of the Whole recommends that Renfrew Town Council declare the property for phases 1A, 2, 3, and 4 of the East Secondary Land surplus, and further that staff be directed to issue an expression of interest for pre-qualification of bidders for the Renfrew East Secondary Plan for Phase 1A, roll number 4748000002016800, unaddressed property southeast of Gillen Road, East Secondary Lands Phase 1A, 2, 3, and 4. Mover, please. Councilor McWhorter, second by Councilor Legree, and I'll turn it back over to Coordinator Collins. Oh,
I'll take this one.
okay.
So this particular property is within the Renfrew secondary plan, as noted within the resolution. It involves phases 1A, 2, 3, and 4 of these secondary lands. It does not include phase 1B of the secondary plan. And so what is being proposed at this time is that the lands be deemed surplus, as Coordinator Collins mentioned, that we have gone through the agency circulation. We took a number of properties that were shortlisted, circulated them to various agencies, and asked them whether they had any particular interest or knew of any constraints. None came back on this one. We did hear that there is potentially the need for a hydro transformer station, and just given the size of it, there will need to be some coordination with the school boards, with utilities, and agencies that might have a need for physical land within a piece of land this large, because it's certainly possible. The first step that we're proposing, we're initially not suggesting that council should just put this on the market. It's a strategically important piece of land, and the town has the unique opportunity to influence how this land gets developed. Council has adopted a secondary plan for the area that dictates how the land will develop over time, the land uses and their distribution, the road networks, and so on. And given that council has put this plan into place, I think it's important to ensure that, to the extent possible, that plan comes to pass. And if we were to sell the whole thing in one shot, it becomes somewhat more difficult to do. So what we are proposing, if it would please council, is to start with have a two-stage expression of interest process. And we have some colleagues in other municipalities that have been kind of through similar processes that we are in consultation with, just to learn from their experience. And what we've learned is that you want to start with a pre-qualified pool of bidders when you get to the point of actually looking at proposals and taking offers on the piece of land that you're looking at. So we're proposing stage one that we go through. It's called a pre-qualification process, and it'd be an expression of interest open to anybody. And what we would be looking for is folks to put in proposals that demonstrate who their team is and the qualifications that they have, the financing capabilities that they have, the experience that they have, who the participants are, and that they can actually deliver a project of this magnitude. So that would be stage one. And we would have a scoring matrix associated with that, very similar to the RFPs that we issue on other procurement processes. And we would, of course, score those, and then we would make some recommendations to council on who we think should be allowed to proceed to the next stage. Ideally, we have a handful of pre-qualified bidders after phase one of the EOR. Then we go to stage two, we'll go to stage two of the expression of interest process, which is then we take our pool of pre-qualified bidders and we say, okay, give us your proposals. Tell us what this is going to look like, what you're going to build on the property, how much you're going to pay us for it, what the partners are going to be, how you're going to finance it. Tell us all those things, what your timing is going to be, and we take those proposals as part of stage two. So that's how we are envisioning and what we are proposing to council. All we're looking for at this stage is council's endorsement to proceed with issuing an expression of interest for stage one, which is the pre-qualification process, and we would come back to council with a further report after that. Thank you.
Councillor McWhorter.
To you, Mayor. I like the approach you're taking. I think it's very not conservative, very by the book. I think it's not a fast process. You're going to weigh all the options. I particularly like the fact that you're drawing on someone else's experience that has more experience in this realm of development. That shows good for looking forward thinking, and I appreciate that. But I like this approach. It's not a one-shot deal and take whatever is the best bid. I like this. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. On to D. That the Committee of the Whole recommends that Renfrew Town Council provide direction with respect to the property known as Victoria Park, including the potential for further due diligence to confirm that the sale of this land is permissible, with roll number 47480009505500, 395 Albert Street, Victoria Park. Mover, please. Revimo, seconded by Councillor Legree. Revimo.
Yes, I'd like to suggest an amendment, and essentially the amendment would offer some, I think, protection for the town to ensure it's completed its due diligence, and then also some protection for the community, because I've been approached a couple of times since our last meeting talking about the ownership of it and the value of it to the community. So I would ask that this report, the amendment be that the report be sent back to staff for further investigation as to ownership, and to be able to demonstrate ownership satisfactorily.
Okay.
So just to confirm with you, Reeve Emo, that you just wanted to add to the motion that Town of Renfrew staff conduct further research and report back to council on ownership? Or research owners?
Yes, research the ownership of the Victoria parcel.
Can I have a seconder to that amendment? Councillor Legree? Okay, now. All in favor? Oh, sorry, Councillor McDonald?
No, I like that approach through you, Mayor. I like that approach with the friendly amendment. Thank you.
Councillor Carter?
I agree with the Reeve. I can't remember when it was, but I did hear some talk about the ownership of that property. So I think we probably be a good idea to do our due diligence on it, so I agree with that.
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. And if there's anything else of interest beyond ownership, we'll bring that back to council as well. Thank you.
Any other questions on that one? We got to move in a second on the amendment. So all in favor of the amended motion? That's carried. Thank you, council. Moving on to
I can update it right now.
sorry, council, we're going to have to do another motion to cover the whole thing as it's been amended. So I'm just, bear with me here. Yeah.
There you go. It should be up there now.
So I'll read the motion again. The Committee of the Whole recommends the Renfrew Town Council provide direction with respect to the property known as Victoria Park, including the potential for further due diligence to confirm that the sale of this land is permissible and that the Town of Renfrew staff conduct further research and report back to Council. Roll number 47480009505500 Albert Street, Victoria Park. Mover, please. Review Mo. Seconded by Councillor Legree. Any questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to finance. That the Committee of the Whole receive the Asset Retirement Obligations ARO Costing Report as information. Mover, please. Councillor Legree, second by Councillor McWhirter, and I'll turn it over to Director Hodge.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. The attached financial liability estimates provide information needed for the preparation and reporting for the annual financial statements to meet PS 3280 asset retirement obligation requirements. So there's updated facility cost estimates totaling $599,335. The summaries are attached, and these will be included in the 2025 annual financial statements. So they're just brought for information this evening. Thank you.
Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. I'm just curious, with the amendment that was, or the attachments that were put there, why are some of the data sheets empty? Is that just, go ahead.
So in employing the consultant to check for designated substances, they checked all the facilities owned by the municipality to confirm that whether there were any designated substances or not. So if there were not, then the summary is zero because there's no obligation.
Any other questions? Review Mo.
Question, it's salt. Salt is a regulated substance. And when I look at the municipal garage, there's nothing under salt sheds. And I have yet to see a salt shed that doesn't leak, or the spilling off the runway when people are loading it or unloading it. So I was a little curious as to why that number was zero.
Okay, I don't think that salt's on the designated substances list perhaps, but this was done in consultation with the Public Works Director, and those facilities were addressed, made known to the consultant. So they have factored that into their assessments.
Okay, thank you. And Your Worship, a second question. How come there's nothing on the municipal garage that's now at the waste site, and the scales and the and the scale house and those structures?
Director Hodge.
Thank you for that question. So earlier in the year, there was other ARO estimates specific to the landfills that were brought to council in a report, and those are done separately. They used to be under PS 3270, but they were included in PS 3280 when it was updated in 2022. So those are also have been updated with estimates this year and will be provided to the auditors for the 2025 financial statements.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you, Council. On to Fire Emergency Protective Services. That the Committee of the Whole recommends that Renfrew Town Council approve the request of public parking on Veterans Memorial Boulevard from September 10th to September 13th, 2026 during the Renfrew Fair. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Legree, and I will turn it over to Director/Chief Guest.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you to all of council. This is a brief report requesting council's approval for parking. We received this request from the administrative coordinator from the Renfrew Agricultural Society. They are in the process of planning for the Renfrew Fair, and they are requesting the approval of parking on Veterans Memorial Boulevard right-of-way adjacent to Queen Elizabeth School, more specifically between Bar Street and Coombs Lane. The requested dates are September 10th through the 13th, and a written request is attached for council's review. And as per council's direction from both 2024 and 2025, staff would also request additional signage be temporarily installed on the boulevard. Thank you.
Any questions? Revimo?
I'm not against this in any way, shape, or form. I just need some clarification. So that strip, is there any limitations on what could be parked there on that? And is it sideways? Is it angled? And then the other question would be, is there any limitations about them staying there overnight? Thank you.
Director?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. In terms of regulations, the only one that really speaks to this would be longer than 24-hour parking. So if vehicles are sitting there longer than 24 hours, that is something we could enforce. If they're larger vehicles, certainly we could send bylaw out to have a look at it, but there's nothing set up right now for those provisions.
Revimo?
So traditionally it's been passenger vehicles, and I wouldn't want to see 6 motorhomes or a truck pull up with a trailer and monopolize that. So is there a means of us just ensuring that it's passenger vehicles and listing that on the signage? Thank you.
Correct.
Certainly, through you, Mayor, we could certainly reach out to the Fair Board and we can advertise that this is only for single passenger vehicles through various social media aspects as well.
Any other questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. I'm going to go on to E4.2.
Do you want to go back into that? Okay.
Bear with me, my computer's not cooperating today. There we go. That the Committee of the Whole recommends that Renfrew Town Council enter into a 5-year agreement with the Brockville Fire Department for fire dispatch services with the option to extend the agreement for an additional 2 years, and further that a bylaw be brought forward for adoption. Mover, please. Councillor Degree, seconded by Councillor Andrew Dick. I'll turn it over to Chief Guest.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you to council. As council is aware, our current dispatch services for the town of Renfrew Fire Department are provided by Brockville Fire Department dispatches under an agreement that expires December 31st of this year. Council approved a 3-year agreement with Brockville Fire Dispatch in an effort to improve system reliability and firefighter safety. Since implementation, the town has benefited from dedicated dispatchers who monitor and record all radio traffic, support tactical channels, and help ensure issues can be identified and addressed more quickly. The current service model provides Renfrew Fire with a more stable and resilient dispatch arrangement than the previous model, including communication redundancy, recorded transmissions, and dedicated dispatch support that strengthen operational continuity and emergency response reliability. I think it's also important to note that Brockville Fire Department also provided a substantially discounted structure fee for the initial year of service and agreed to cover the startup fees, which were approximately $35,000, which supported our transition to a dedicated fire dispatch. Staff are recommending option 1. The council directs staff to proceed with a 5-year agreement with Brockville Fire Dispatch. This option provides stability and continuity for fire dispatch services while allowing the town to extend the agreement if performance remains satisfactory, which it certainly has. Brockville Dispatch and Renfrew Fire currently use the same radio communications technicians, which supports service continuity and familiarity with our systems in place. This option would continue the service model and provide long-term stability, provide reliability and continuity for Renfrew Fire. So before I turn it back over to Council and Mayor for many questions, I just want to highlight a situation that we faced in a recent structure fire. It wasn't anything critical, but what it does is highlights the importance of what we have with Brockville. So a few weeks ago, we were on scene at a working structure fire. It was a 4-unit residential occupancy. And as you can appreciate, there's a lot of radio transmissions between the crews inside the structure, outside, and between the incident commander and dispatch. And we're all sharing the same working channel, so everybody is familiar with what's going on. So we were approximately 2 hours into this scene when Brockville dispatch radioed the incident commander, which was myself at the time, and they had asked if I heard the transmission from the inside crew. And I responded and said I did not catch that. So Brockville relayed that information. We provided the resources to the crew inside and continued with operations. Again, this wasn't a critical radio transmission, but it could have been. And there's also documented instances where incident commanders have missed critical transmissions for maydays, not in the town of Renfrew, but it does happen. So I wanted to bring this to Council's attention where this is something that we do enjoy through dedicated dispatch, and it's certainly nothing against other agencies. It's just Brockville has the ability to provide that technology and monitor all fireground activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. My apologies to Council. I have to go back to E.2.3, surplus property. I missed the last one. And that motion is that the Committee of the Whole recommend that Renfrew Town Council grant delegated authority to the Chief Administrative Officer to authorize the sale of surplus land at a purchase price of not less than 10% below the appraised market value or at any amount exceeding the appraised market value during the Restricted Act period in accordance with the town's delegation of authority during Restricted Act bylaw. Mover, please. Councilor McWhorter, second by Councilor Degree. CAO, would you like to speak on this?
Don't have much to add outside of the fact that, again, any exercise of this authority will only be taking place with Council's awareness, and certainly like to come into close to discuss any purchase offers that come forward. Thank you.
Any questions? Councilor McDonald?
Okay, thank you, Mayor, through you. Just confirming the fact that if something does take place, Council will be involved, and we're going to be coming, yes, we're delegating authority, I understand that, but Council will be coming into a closed environment to whether we have questions and that sort of thing. So,
yeah,
that's the intent. Yes, thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. On to Legislative Services. That the Committee of the Whole recommends that Renfrew Town Council approve the updated corporate branding and identity policy as presented, and further that the appropriate bylaw be brought forward for adoption. Mover, please. Councilor McDonald, talking about Councilor McWhorter, and I will turn it over to Coordinator McMillan.
Yes, thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. So this policy being brought forward is just as part of our regular policy review schedule. There are no major changes to the policy at all from the previous policy. It is just simply an update of template and a couple of the definitions, but happy to take any questions if Council has them.
Any questions from Council? Hearing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. The next motion is the Renfrew Town Council rise from the Committee of the Whole. Mover, please. Councilor Degree, second by Councilor Andrew Dick. Any questions? All in favor? We are now out of Committee of the Whole. Moving on to external boards, committees, and county reports. County of Renfrew Council and Committee Summary, June 2026. Revimo.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just very quickly, the Warden's Golf Tournament raised $17,000 for the local food banks, so thank you very much to the teams that participated in it. On page 1, you'll notice also that Lee Perkins, the Director of Public Works and Engineering, has retired. His replacement, Taylor Hanrath, has been brought on. Taylor, as you know, is quite experienced, has been with the County of Renfrew, I believe, about 14 years, and was Mr. Perkins' number 2. Further on page 2, you will see a presentation by the Ottawa Valley Health Team, and in January, about 18 months ago, they made a commitment to reach out to all people on the Healthcare Connect list by this year, and they've met that goal. Their other goal that they're working on is 2029. Their goal is to have all people on that list connected to primary care. So they're working very hard on that. Page 3, you'll see a summary of some of the construction projects. It's about $40 million. These are only the most current ones where tenders were accepted, so there'll be more rolling out in the next little while. So it's a $40 million build this year. And you'll also note the draft forest management plan for the 5,400 hectares of land. Further on in, you will note the former CN line connecting to the Quebec border in Pembroke, running through Laurentian Valley and Whitewater, has been purchased and has been turned over to the county. And Summer Company, if you look at the bottom of page 4, you'll see the 7 spots have been filled, and this is one of my favorite ones, so you'll have to bear with me. Adelaide Lamore Beaupre of Laurentian Valley, Addie Maid and Bronwyn Dick of Admiston Bromley, it's a Green Thumb. Evelyn Finan from the Whitewater region is Garden Palette Goods. And Hudson Warner of Pembroke is Shine My Clubs. Kelsey Moore of Whitewater region is Moore Volleyball. And Nadia DeCarl from Pembroke is River Scout Clay. And Rusty Stewart from North Algonquin Wilberforce is Red Pine Woodworking. So they'll be showcasing their products on the 26th at County Council. On the next page, a very significant award. The OPP Commissioner's citation was given to members of the Sierra team, Matt Cruchet, Sean Doyle, and Devin Keenan. They went into the Algonquin Park in June of 2025 and rescued and took care of a critically ill patient. It was a highly coordinated multi-agency response, as you can see. And we're very fortunate to have the Sierra team. It was stood up approximately 5 years ago, and it's meant for this. And given the 50% of our 7,700 hectares or square kilometers of land in Renfrew County is Crown, there's a lot of opportunity for people to get hurt. And this was stood up to be able to assist them. And that is all that I can report to you at this time.
Any questions for the brief? Hearing none. On to Renfrew County District Health Unit, Medical Officer of Health Report, June 25th, 2026.
Thank you. And just very quickly, while it's coming up, of significance is the health prevention. The very first page where it just talks about the licensed daycares. So the licensed daycares, 28 of them, they have approximately 1,200 students, give or take. Their immunization records are being checked, and it's about 80% compliance, and then the rest of the students are getting some assistance. Grade 7 programs, again, 1,359 vaccinations were given out to children. And again, it's a very significant number. The recreational water program, you'll see on the website and also on the in various media. There's water sampling of most of the seasonal recreation beaches in Renfrew County, and they're posted on a regular basis. So that means there's 30 beaches. You'll see some information on Legionnaire's disease, vector-borne disease program, but with ticks, West Nile, there has been some cited in Eastern Ontario. Emergency preparedness, they were involved with the flooding and health promotion on the third page. Very significant program. There's only 8 public health units in Ontario currently delivering the Nurse Family Partnership Program. And what it does is it has a nurse moving into a relationship with expectant moms from early pregnancy until the child is approximately 2 years of age. So this allows a public health nurse to provide regular home visits and fostering personalized guidance for the mother and the child. This is a very very critical because, as you know, education on prenatal care and nutrition and risk reduction also are strengths for a child as they move forward into the education system. And there is the Renfrew County District Drug Strategy. It's on its second year, and there's a move to evaluate the progress on the 25 priorities. You'll note local substance use. There has been some medical emergencies identified. There's an increase on calls to emergency services in this first part of the year. And looking down, you'll see that when you see the Toronto Drug Checking Service, one of the things that became apparent, and we've noted too, is that fentanyl samples contain at least one other central nervous and/or respiratory system depressant, which is dangerous for the people who use fentanyl. So that's been a very significant issue for us at this time. And there have been 3 additional deaths since the last report, bringing the total to 13 in 2026. Sexual health, nutrition, infectious diseases, and that is all that I have to report, with the exception of the Ebola breakout on May the 15th. You ask, what's that got to do with Renfrew County? A lot of people travel through our community, and we do have some people from the armed forces that are all over the world at the same time. So there is a lot of communication back and forth between the armed forces and various travelers.
Thank you. Any questions for the brief? Hearing none. Thank you, sir. Moving on to South Ottawa Valley OPP Detachment Board minutes of June 10th, 2026. Councillor Gay.
Through you, Mayor Sidney. Our last South Ottawa Valley OPP Detachment Board meeting was held on June 10th, and the minutes are attached for Council's view, and I'll just highlight a couple of things. The board discussed the mandatory alcohol screening program. This program has been in place since 2018 and allows police officers, for example in ride programs, the right to pull over and administer roadside sobriety tests upon request. The common practice prior to 2018 was that you had to be suspected of being under the influence, but now it's upon request. The board is undergoing recruitment for a board administrator. The position closed on June 19th, and we're in the final interview stages. The new administrator cost will be shared between the 7 municipalities. The board does a session at each of our meetings called Meet the Officer. This time the board had the privilege of meeting Liz Dodge, the longest standing member of the OPP Detachment Board of 24 years. Her title as administration clerk also includes many other duties such as financial, HR, critical duties, ordering supplies, attendance, entering timesheet balances into the computer system, WSIB claims. Liz in her spare time also supports the front desk, which you can imagine is a task in itself, as it's the first report of day-to-day issues as well as walk-in emergencies and concerns. With former detachment operations manager Bosa advancing his career near Belleville, a new operations manager was hired, and we would like to welcome Amanda Ornsby to the Renfrew detachment. I'll just go over a couple of stats for the month. So for traffic under provincial offences, there's 281 laid, 183 warnings issued, 29 ride checks, 2 fatal MVCs. Under crime, 134 criminal charges, 30 property crime calls, 40 violent crime calls. Under mental health, 51 mental health calls, and 2 overdoses, one which was fatal. And then community engagement for patrols, there's 20 plus hours of ATV patrols, 24 hours of marine patrols, and 14 school visits. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Review?
Not so much a question, but is it possible to 7B, the mandatory alcohol screening? I'm not sure many people know that. They still seem to think that they have the opportunity to say no. And is it possible for our social media channels to push out that message, because it might it might lessen some of the conflicts and arguments that officers find themselves in.
Yeah, I fully agree. Even some of the people in the boards were surprised, the members, that this was the case. So I think it's a good idea.
Perfect. Any other questions? Just clarification so the people in the public don't think all those stats are in the town of Renfrew.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. So this is the 7 municipalities that operate under the Renfrew OPP detachment. We are trying to get a report that shows a breakdown for just like each of the municipalities, but it's not as easy as that. So if council or anybody's ever looking for a breakdown of something, I can get the commander to pull it. But for monthly reports for now, this is all we have till further.
Perfect. I just wanted to make sure the public's
Yeah.
clear on that. Thank you. On to Renfrew Power Generation 2026 Q2 summary. Either one of you.
Through you, Mayor Sidney. So I sit on Renfrew Power Generation along with Councillor Andrew Dick. Attached is a Q2 summary, which is from April 1st to June 30th for Council's viewing. And I'll just highlight a few points. Thanks to the higher flows, targets for Q2 generation were met, which capitalized on the elevation flows to offset some of the generation defects we had in Q1, which was good. RPG continues its technical consultation to acquire the engineering data and regulatory insights necessary to develop a framework and budget for the rehab of the Round Lake Dam. RPG is continuing working on the small hydro program contract with IESO and the ministry. It is going good now, so we'll hopefully be able to make announcements sooner than later. There are no environmental or legal issues to report, and the AGM for Renfrew Power Generation was held on May 19th. Ted Young was successfully selected by the shareholders to the RPG board for a 3-year term, and until the next AGM, Ted Young assumes the role of board chair, and Leo Hall serves as treasurer. Congratulations to both Ted and Leo. Thank you.
Any questions for Councillor Green? Hearing none. There's no items for consideration. Under correspondence, items for information, is there any of those that council would like to discuss? It's just for information. Review.
Just to, you're going to see some more construction on Francis Street. So the 149 will be removed from the land and taken. Hopefully, somebody buys it and uses it, reuses it. The last one on 145 was trundled out, and somebody has put a basement under it, put it into the side of a hill, so they've got a ground floor walkout as well, and they're in the process of adding an extension on the side of it. So they are being reused. And again, it'll be a triplex at 149, which essentially is that corner lot. Hopefully, I have offered them a floor plan for a fourplex, so it'll be interesting to see if that's not with this model, but with another one, because we'd like to utilize all those large lots. There's about 50 homes in that area that are attached to Renfrew County Housing, all on large lots where it's necessary to change the stock and renew it. This allows, as what we've called a 3-for-1, and that way some of the other older stock can be pulled completely out of circulation as long as we maintain the 1,029. And you'll see there's been a budget approved for it, so it's not going to stall unless something happens. And it was good news.
Perfect. Any other discussions on any of these? Hearing none. Moving on to the confirmation of minutes. The Renfrew Town Council confirmed the minutes of the regular meeting of council dated June 23rd, 2026, the special meeting dated July 16th, 2026, and the regular closed meeting of council dated June 23rd, 2026, understanding that they remain confidential. Mover, please. Councilor McDonald, seconded by Councilor Legree. Any discussion? All in favor of the minutes? That's carried. Matters arising from the committee of the whole. that Renfrew Town Council adopt the final resolution considered in the Committee of the Whole on June 23rd, 2026. One, that Renfrew Town Council approve the allocation of 10% of the proceeds from current and ongoing land sales to support the continued implementation of the surplus land program. Mover, please. Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor McWhorter. Any discussion on these? All in favor? That's carried. Matters arising directly from the Committee of the Whole. Bear with me. That Renfrew Town Council adopt the final resolution considered in the Committee of the Whole on August 11, 2026. E-2-3A, that Renfrew Town Council declare the following properties surplus, roll numbers 474800001524-207 Centennial Drive, vacant lot, roll number 474800002522-686 Mayhew Street, vacant lot, and roll number 47480000201750 Float Street, vacant parcel awaiting severance. Are we voting on these separately or all together? All together? Okay. The next one is E-2-3B, that Renfrew Town Council declared 3 properties at the intersection of O'Brien and Mass surplus, save and except for the realigned Howard K. Harmis Park and the previous Visitor Information Center lands and their amenities, roll numbers 47480000201675, 47480000201614, and 47480000201610. And the next one on to C, 2.23, the Renfrew Town Council declare the property for Phase 1A, 2, 3, and 4 of the East Secondary Land surplus, and further that staff be directed to issue an expression of interest for pre-qualification of bidders for the Renfrew East Secondary Plan Phase 1A, roll number 47480000201680, unaddressed property southeast of Gillen Road, East Secondary Lands Phase 1A, 2, 3, and 4. And E.2.3D, that Renfrew Town Council provide direction with respect to the property known as Victoria Park, including the potential for further due diligence to confirm the sale of the land is permissible. Roll number 47480009505500 Albert Street, Victoria Park. And Deputy Clerk.
Through you, Mayor Sidney. And I just want to make note too that under D, when it was read, it will include the amendment that was passed to include that the town of Renfrew staff conduct further research ownership of the Victoria parcel and report back to council.
Perfect. And E, that Renfrew Town Council grant delegated authority to the Chief Administrative Officer to authorize the sale of surplus lands at a purchase price not less than 10% below appraised market value, or at any amount exceeding the appraised market value during the Restricted Act period, in accordance with the town's delegation of authority during the Restricted Act bylaw. And E.4.2, that Renfrew Town Council enter into a 5-year agreement with the Brockville Fire Department for fire dispatch services with the option to extend the agreement for an additional 2 years, and further that the bylaw be brought forward for adoption. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor McWhorter. Any more discussion on these? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moving on to bylaws. That the bylaws listed on the agenda of August 11, 2026 be read at first, second, and third time and passed. 2026-65, execute of a memorandum of understanding with Heritage Renfrew for the collaborative partnership to support archival preservation, heritage conservation, public education, and community engagement. 2026-66, execute an agreement with Garland DBS Canada Inc. for a partial roof replacement at 1 Innovation Drive. 2026-67, execute a construction agreement with Yeeman Electric for the construction and installation of landfill scale house. And 2026-68, appoint Eric Withers as the Chief Administrative Officer / Deputy Clerk. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Andrew Dick. Any discussion on any of these? All in favor? That's carried. No motions of notice. Any notices of motion? Review motion.
Thank you. I'll be bringing a motion next meeting that a motion to direct the mayor to write a letter to the province of Ontario, Premier Ford and Minister Parza, expressing our frustration and disappointment that a settlement has not been reached with regards to the community living dispute.
Thank Any other notices of motion? Hearing none, no opposed, confirmatory bylaw. That Renfrew Town Council adopt the confirmatory bylaw 2026-69 and that it be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Mover. Councilor Degree, seconded by Councilor McCorder. Any discussion? All in favor? Upcoming meetings, regular closed session council meeting August 25th, 2026 at 10 a.m. Regular council meeting August 25th, 2026 at 5:30. And we are now adjourned at 7 o'clock. Thank you very much, council. Enjoy the rest of the summer.